A lot of the time, I can really say positive things to myself, and then there's this tiny one little question that comes up, and it seems to knock out all the 25,000 positive things.
That's a much bigger effect.
And that's why I keep staring at the clock at 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, how do you get rid of that one little one that keeps rearing its ugly head?
So you're going from being employed to self-employed.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is a big transition for a lot of people as well. So I guess we're all human as well. Sometimes there might be an element of doubt. Have you addressed any of the issues you might have that doubt?
Well, I think like anything, when doing something like I'm describing, I suppose is the financial element.
Yeah.
I've got a certain, it's like an egg timer of money, and
Yeah.
that I put aside, and
Yeah.
it's slightly, I can see it disappearing.
Yeah, I think one of the key things is that in terms of doing what you're doing and anyone going for any sort of having any goals or any ambitions, I think sometimes we do have, and there is times when our mind does communicate with us in a certain way. So there are times when there might be a message, like you said there, and maybe if it keeps reoccurring, identifying the message. So, okay, well, what's this looking to tell me? I think there's a lot of books out there, a lot of motivational gurus that give all the bravado. Go out there, leave your job tomorrow, leave it, tell your boss where to go, go out there, start your business, and you'll be fine. And 2 years later, when you struggle to pay the mortgage and you're out in the street and you see the same guy delivering these big, powerful motivational seminars, making a few million pounds a year, I shouldn't listen to you, sort of thing. But everyone has their place, and we've got their ways of doing things. But I think what you're doing is, and what you're saying there, it makes a lot of sense, because you are going through a transition, and it would be incorporating other techniques and looking into what the message is. And you mentioned finances, maybe looking into that and saying, okay, planning and looking at other aspects of what you're doing in terms of yourself employed. And I think ultimately anyone who has a dream and a goal and a vision, there will be times when anyone is going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. And if it's something that you are looking to go for, there will be times, of course there is. There will be times when you do have a little bit of self-doubt. And when we talk about the self-talk, it's key to remember that where self-talk is concerned, what we're aiming to do is achieve a positive outcome. What we're aiming to do is to communicate with our own inner dialogue in a positive way. So there will be times we have negativity and have negative statements to say about ourselves, but there will be times when we have to sit down and say, okay, let's draw into what's going on here. So in terms of yourself, so if you have like a recurring message and it's linked to finances and a transition, which is a big transition, then it's about maybe sitting down and looking at identifying and addressing that area and looking at a way forward. So rather than saying to you, okay, use these words, you're going to feel much better, it might be actually giving yourself that level of security too, because we're all human, and I think that ultimately, regardless of what circumstances we're in, some people can stand up and say it all, but I think ultimately there will be times, and I think where self-talk is concerned, it's about regulating what you say in a dialogue in a positive way to achieve a positive outcome, to achieve a positive perspective. And there will be times when inner dialogue is a little bit uncertain, and at that time it's about sitting down and addressing certain key things that may need to be addressed. So hopefully that helps. And another technique that's really good as well is what we call thought stopping too. And it might be having like a wristband, whatever it may be, but every time you find yourself using this negativity, just giving a flick really. And I do the technique, particularly the offenders, I give them to wear a wristband, and every time they find themselves going back, because a lot of them, they subconsciously revert back to certain behaviours and certain negative self-talk. And one of the things is they find it difficult. On one occasion, one of the young fellas says, I'm really trying my best, I'm trying my best to do what I can, but I keep doing the same things. And one of the things is with a bit of a thought stop. Every time you do something like that, then that might be a way to switch back on. And self-talk is something that takes time, it takes patience, and it has a massive effect. We won't always say the right things to ourselves and to other people because we are human. On one occasion I was delivering a seminar to a premiership club, and I was talking about the NLP presuppositions, little words with big meanings. And I said during the seminar to the players that change certain phrases and patterns. And the words that we identified, we said, okay, we looked at words like try and the like, and said, can we replace it with something different? Like try what does try imply? It implies effort for with no success. So we're looking at changing these little key words. And what happens? I'm working extensively with these players who were underperforming. And by the end of the week, the player comes up to me and says, what if it doesn't go well tomorrow? We've done really well in training. And in the heat of everything that was going on, and I got ready to go, and it was late, it's been a long week. What if it doesn't go really, really well? I turned around and said, just go out there and try your best, man. I'll drop myself in it then. And we all human, we all do it. I think that, and I think that's that humanness really, that when you are a coach and when you are working with people, that reflects through, and it gives people that an opportunity to see that you are human and you are. And I think the same goes with ourselves. There are times when we are that way, and we can be a little bit hard on ourselves too, and just readjusting things. And in time it works well. In time we develop things. And even if you were to change one statement a day in the course of the year, even if you one statement a week, you change 52 key things, and you change your whole outlook in life by doing that. Key words, and I'm very conscious of the words I choose with the people I work with, the clients I work with, to get and build that momentum. Key words to go out there and do it, and building that sense of self-belief. Key words too. So it's identifying a key vocabulary as well, which is useful too to you as well. Looking at key words that are going to motivate you, because words can have big meanings, and what we say on the surface tells us a lot of what's going on underneath it all. So we might, at surface level, say something, say a word, and underneath all that, it reflects on what's going on too. So that's key as well, and identifying that is key. Okay, so one of the key things we're going to move on to now is how to regulate our mind, how to stay at a level of control necessary, how to be in the right state of mind at the right time, which is really important. Let's say you get up in the morning at 7, you go to work, maybe earlier, maybe a little bit later, depending on where you work and what you do. And during that day, you're going to have a series of ups and downs, and things aren't always going to go your way. You could be driving into work and you get a phone call, the cat's not well, and then you go into work and the boss phones you up and says, okay, this is not going well. And you're in different states of mind throughout the day. Now, we've got so many thoughts that hit our minds at any given period of time. We've got so many thoughts that blast our mind. If we processed all our thoughts, we'd go in overload. So we pick a certain amount of thoughts, I don't know, 5 to 9 pieces of information that we can process, and we consciously focus on them. And the thoughts that we focus on are going to influence how we feel about ourselves and what is going on. Now, past experience can count a lot for a lot of people. Even though we may not have experienced a certain situation, two parts of the mind, the subconscious, conscious, the conscious being the 10% of the iceberg we can see, for example, and the subconscious being that 90% we can't see. If you think of when you're born, there's so many things that go on in your life. You see, and some things you don't see subconsciously, and all these memories are in there somewhere, and we adopt a certain situation, we adopt a certain thought process, a certain feeling in different situations. And regardless of how well trained we are, and how well good we are at what we do, there are times under pressure in certain environments that our conscious mind, the thoughts aren't productive in terms of what we want to be. We're not in the right state, we're not in the right zone. Have you ever been in a situation where you've done something and it's gone really well? Presentation at work, or an interview, a meeting, played an instrument, sport, and just flows. You're in that right zone. And there's been other times when you can't be doing right for doing wrong. Just things just tend to fall apart. And what we're going to look at this area here is how to be in the right state at the right time. Now, it is something to work on, it is key. Years ago when I did one of my first, my second job I should say, well, I was working with the offenders, and one of the assignments I had, I read the case file, and in reading the case file, it influenced my thought process. We had